Hello friends, this is Sachin again from Team Decipher, and we are discussing the revolt of 1857, and this is the third lecture and third part of this discussion. Earlier we discussed about the causes, the background, the leaders of the revolt of 1857, and we reached somewhat about the organization during the rebellion. But now we will be looking, we're giving some insights to the organization during the rebellion. Okay, moving on. During the rebellion, actually there was no as such planning and organization before the revolt, but this was very much important that when this rebellion was carried out, then it should be some sort of organization should be put into the place. For the matter, the areas they have conquered, they needed to be administrated after all. Okay, so what happened actually that after the capture of Delhi, a letter was addressed to the rulers of all the neighboring states of Rajasthan and you can say near about Delhi. This letter solicited their support and even invited them to participate in the administration of the area which were captured by this rebellion soldiers from the Britishers. In Delhi, they conducted a court. In fact, they established a court of administrators. And what this court was responsible for? This court was responsible for almost all the matters of state. The court consisted of 10 members, say 6 from army and 4 from the civilian departments. And all the decisions which were taken by this court were taken by majority of vote. More than 50%, anything more than 50% was a majority. This court conducted the affairs of the state in the name of emperor. And who was the emperor? Bahadur Shah Jafar, the last Mughal emperor. Bahadur Shah, he was recognized as the emperor by all the rebel leaders, and even coins were struck and orders were issued in his name. At Bareilly, Khan Bahadur Khan, which as we about him we have discussed in the last lecture, he conducted the administration in the name of Mughal Emperor Bahadur Shah Jafar. Well, it is also significant that the first impulse of the rebels was always to proceed Delhi. Okay, you remember when whether they चाहे वो मेरठ में हो, चाहे कानपुर में हो, चाहे झांसी में हो, their first instance and impulse was to go to Delhi, as it was the old seat of the administration for the entire country, because Mughal emperor was having his capital at Delhi. So the need to create an organization and a political institution to preserve these gains which were gained by these rebellion soldiers from the Britishers was certainly felt. But as you were aware that British soldiers, British army opened the counter force, so in the face of British counter offensive, there was no such chance to build on these early ideas. The court was established, okay, that is fine, but no as such a very concrete sort of organization was established due to the lack of time, and since they all were busy fighting during this 1 year period. For more than a year, the rebels carried out their struggles against very heavy odds. Cavalry of British were much superior. Their communication skills and their communication mediums were much more powerful, and which was not the Indian soldiers were not at that much advantage. So as I was saying, they had no source of arms, ammunitions, and what they had, all they got actually, they only had the musketeers and the guns and the cavalry, whatever they are having, they actually captured it from British arsenal, and that could not carry them that far. And sometimes they were even forced to fight with the swords and pikes against an enemy who was supplied with the most weaponry of those times. They had stuck no quick system of communication for their command, and hence no coordination was possible amongst the rebellions. Consequently, what happened? They were unaware of the strength and weaknesses of their counterparts, They were not as such very much aware about what British forces is having advantage upon and what is their weaknesses. So as a result, they could not come to each other's rescue in the times of distress. If one army of Indian soldiers is fighting on the outskirts of Delhi, then the army fighting on the brink of Meerut city cannot come to the help of or rescue of the army which is fighting at the Delhi. Moving on, the Great Revolt has its certain reasons for its failure. Because after such a big uprising, what were the reasons why this revolt actually fuss out? So we need to look into them. Although the rebels received sympathy of the people, no doubt they received that sympathy, but country as a whole was not behind them. The merchants, intelligentsia, Indian rulers even, they not only kept aloof but actively supported Britishers. For example, let me tell you, even meetings were organized in Calcutta and Bombay by them to pray for success of British. And despite the doctrine of lapse, through which the British actually annexed the Indian states, despite this doctrine, the Indian rulers expected that their future was safer with British, and they liberally provided them the men and material to the Britishers instead of Indian soldiers. Indeed, the rebellions, they might have made a better fight of it if they had received their support from these Indian rulers. Almost half of the Indian soldiers not only did not revolt but actually fought against their own countrymen, like in the case of Madras Army or in the case of Punjab. The recapture of Delhi was effected by, you won't believe, only by 5 columns consisting of 1700 British troops and 3200 Indians. So can you in fact think that this was a recapture by the Britishers? No, this was a recapture of Delhi by Indians against Indians. Okay, moving on. Apart from some honorable exceptions, like the Rani of Jhansi, Kamar Singh, Maulvi Ahmadullah for that matter, these rebels were poorly served by their leaders. Apart from these 2-3 names which you can count on fingers, the leadership of the rebellion was not as good as their British counterparts were having, like Sir Hugh Rose and Campbell. Most of them, the Indian leaders, they failed to realize the significance of the revolt, and simply they did not do enough to keep the morale high of the rebellions. Even the strategy they needed to made after this revolt. Bahadur Shah and Zeenat Mahal, they both, though they rise against once the sepoys accumulated under their banner, but they themselves had no faith in these sepoys, and secretly they negotiated with British to secure their own safety. Most of the talukadars, who were the aristocrats of those times, they tried not only to protect their own interests. Some of them, like Man Singh, who actually made the capture of Tatya Tope possible, he changed sides several times during this rebellion, and that sheerly depending upon that on which side is having upper hand at the moment. So this was the, you can say, the हमारी leadership का उस समय ऐसा हाल था. Well, apart from commonly shared hatred for the alien rule or for the British rule, the rebels had no political perspective or the definite vision of the future. They were all prisoners of their past, we can say that. They actually fought to primarily regain their lost privileges. Like aristocrats are fighting to get their lands and estate back. Artisans and craftsmen were fighting to get their livelihood back. Sepoys were fighting to protect their religion and to refurbish the monarchy under which they earlier served. So no definite vision of the future or new order of administration was as such in the vision of you can say these rebellions or their leaders for that matter. Unsurprisingly, they proved incapable of introducing they literally proved incapable of introducing any political new order. Even John Lawrence, the British commander, he himself had remarked that had a single leader of ability arisen among them, the rebels he was talking about, had a single leader of ability arisen among them, we must have been lost beyond redemption. Well, despite the fact that rebels lost the fight in the end. Yet, for sure, they showed exemplary courage, dedication, and commitment. Thousands of men courted death, fighting for a cause which they really held dear to their close to their heart. But their heroism alone, however, could not win a much superior British army. The first to fall was Delhi. In the rebellion, the first one was to fall Delhi, and it fell on 20th September of 1857. After a prolonged battle, Bahadur Shah, the emperor, the great emperor, Mughal emperor, he took refuge in Humayun's tomb, and he was captured and posted to Burma, deported to Burma. Jaiye, live your life over there and die over there. And with that, the back of revolt was actually broken, since everyone was looking upon Delhi as their leader, but Delhi was fallen. Since Delhi was the only possible rallying point, as I told you earlier, that whether the Sepoys were at Kanpur, Meerut, Jhansi, wherever, they always saw Delhi as a rallying point. The British military, then after dealing with Delhi, they dealt with the rebels in one center after another. Rani of Jhansi, in that series, she died fighting on 17 June 1857, and Nana Sahib, he refused to give in and finally escaped to Nepal in the beginning of 1859, and he hoped that someday he'll come back and renew the struggle, but that never happened. Tatya Tope, the adherent to the Nana Sahib and who actually supported Rani Jhansi in capturing Gwalior, he carried successfully the guerrilla warfare against Britishers until April 1859. But as we discussed earlier, he was betrayed by the Zamindar and captured and put to death by the Britishers. Thus came to an end the most formidable challenge to the British Empire that he ever faced in India. Okay friends, so now we have covered the revolt of 1857 in its entirety. Well, thank you for watching, and do visit our website www.decipheris.com, and please do like us on the Facebook page, and please do put your comments in order to improve yourself much better. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, and take good care of yourself. Bye.